everyone. Welcome to another edition of Inside Board Games. I'm Jason Dale, and today I am talking to Professor Jonathan Truitt. How you doing, John?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Jason, for bringing me on.
Now, we're going to talk about a lot of games, but we're also going to talk about a kind of a unique aspect of the gamosphere that I'm really excited to talk about. A little bit about my guest today. Professor Truitt is, and I got to look at my notes here because he does a lot. He is professor of Latin American history, editor of Scholarship and Lore Games for Learning series. But what we're going to be focusing on mostly here is he is the co-director for the Center for Learning Through Games and Simulations, Central Michigan University.
Thanks.
So let's start off with tell me about you a little bit. Are you a big gamer? Do you enjoy board games?
I've been gaming for as long as I can remember. So when I was growing up, there was a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, but even in my family, there was both your standard card games and Battleship and things along those lines. But there was also Rook. There were occasionally the bookshelf games that you get with that would come off. And, I was introduced to diplomacy about the time that I was 12 or 13.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
I did my fair share of time in Dungeons and Dragons during both the Satanic Panic as well as, later where I had to, convince parents that we weren't actually sacrificing people in our basements.
Yeah, or getting running down in the sewers.
Correct. Though running down in the sewers would have been fun, but no, not something we were doing.
Right.
So yeah, I've been playing games since I was small and been in the gamer space, for most of my life. So yeah.
Yeah, I always like to think back, and I like to play some of those old nostalgia games. The first ones that I played. Sometimes they come out in reprint or something like Cosmic Encounter or something like that.
I just pulled Kobold's Ate My Baby off the shelf from the
Okay.
old print down ninth level games to show both my kid and his good friend. And so that was one that I just pulled out. I lost most of my board. Actually, I lost not even most. Lost all of my board games in Hurricane Katrina from
Oh,
the 90s. So, but a couple of my role-playing games were still on the shelf higher up, so they managed to survive, but all the boxed games sort of washed away. Yeah.
wow. My first thought was, wow, that's so horrible. But I don't want to downplay the other devastating effects of Hurricane Katrina.
We are totally good, right? I was a grad student, small collection, but like all of my old games, I've slowly looked for some of them. I've recovered a few here and there, but by and large, I mean, games are so interesting and great at the moment that, if I want to revisit for nostalgia, I just got to go find somebody who might have them. And that's
Okay.
okay. So, yeah.
And you found a way to integrate board gaming into your career through the center.
Yeah. So I got my PhD in Latin American history, and I was hired at CMU as a Latin American historian. But my first year out of grad school, I was teaching at Hamlin University in St. John, St. Ben's in Minnesota. So two different institutions doing tabletop, or I was doing not tabletop. I was doing regular teaching of history classes, and I ended up just being frustrated with the way things were going. And a colleague of mine, Annette Atkins, looked at me and said, "Have you ever considered reacting to the past?" Which is a role-playing based pedagogy for classrooms or live action role-playing games. And I said, that looks interesting. There's nothing on Latin America. I'm gonna take a swing at creating something this semester on the fly because, never put lots of forethought into it when you're dumping your lectures 3 weeks out.
Sure.
Uh, Please note sarcasm. But I did look forward in my semester, saw that the Mexican Revolution was coming up and decided to start making a game about that. And so that was my first foray into game-based learning. It worked really, really well. I made 5 characters. The students played as those characters in small groups. And at the end of one session of discussing, I kid you not, land reform, that scintillating topic, the students at the end asked me for another day to discuss it. They had all been on topic. They had all
Wow.
been engaged. And I said, you seriously want another day to discuss land reform? And they're like, well, the arguments are really complex, and we're not happy not having come to a conclusion as to who has won. So, yes, we want another day so that we can win. And I said, sure, unbeknownst to them, right? Who wins the Mexican Revolution is really kind of a hairy topic to, determine. There are
Right.
winners, but it's not like it depends on where it lays out and, how the questions are asked. But
Sure.
another day, and I built from there. Um, I took that with me to CMU, where I'm at now, and then colleagues who are also using game-based learning found out about what I was doing. As some students in the student newspaper wrote about it. My department chair and my dean at Central Michigan University at the time were really supportive of what I was doing, and
Hmm.
so we, in 2012, formed the Center for Learning Through Games and Simulations in one of its earlier names,
Okay.
right? If you look back for Center for Learning Through Games and Simulations, you're going to find it doesn't track to 2012, but 2012 is the date that it starts. We just changed the name about 3 or 4 times before it finally like settled.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I was wondering about that because I was wondering about when it started, and I did see some games that have come out of there, and it's like I was just trying to figure out like when the first ones started coming out. So
So the press is newer. So the center itself starts as a grassroots organization by faculty who want to use game-based learning. And so it's those of us who are using games in the classroom start supporting each other to teach each other what we know. We brought in the Institute of Play out of New York. They did the Quest to Learn schools over there. So they came in, they helped us some. We got some internal support to really build on that. And then while we were doing that, we started spreading to doing workshops for local area schools. We started building escape rooms in our classrooms. And we were building our own games. And somewhere in there, I'd have to look for the exact dates. Joshua Roll, a agile trainer for Walmart,
mhm.
picked up one of my little games that deals with rapid demographics collapse due to disease. That looked at like rapid death during the Black Death and the diseases that run rampant during the colonial periods of Mexico and Peru. And he took it and started using it at Walmart to train employees in agile thinking, to get them to be more flexible in their approach, and then started sharing that information with us. And we went, maybe there's something here to these games in sort of a training space. There's a longer story here, but the
Mhm.
short version of it is we took it to CMU. We said, look, we've got these games. People are interested in them. Here are the emails from the agile trainer at Walmart. Could we make a go of this? The press at CMU at that point had been defunct. We're like, we would like to resurrect it as a unique um, board game press, right? There's no other
Oh,
academic
okay.
press out there. So we'd like to resurrect it as a unique focus on board games. And they said, yeah. And so that started 20, 2018, 2019 started that process. Monumental Consequences, a first game.
Okay.
There's a long road to getting it approved because universities didn't know what to do with us. But we got there, right? And then we crowdfunded it fall 2020, I want to say. Came out 2021, or maybe fall 2021 came out 2022. I don't have the game here. I'd have to look to verify. So,
Gotcha. Rapid population decline reminds me of my experience playing Moon Colony Bloodbath just a
yes.
few weeks ago. Um, so, uh, help me understand then the center. I know that there are actual physical board games that come out of the center, but I was also seeing that there was other majors, chemistry majors, and things like using game-based learning. So tell me a little bit more about like I guess the day-to-day mission and what's the function of the center.
So the center, I don't have the mission pulled up in front of me so go with the mission that's on the web page. But overall, the people involved in the center are across all 6 colleges at the university. We have people who aren't at the university who do a lot with this as well. And our goal is to make learning engaging, right? When you get
Okay.
into a game, games are fun, right? You want to do them, you want to take them to completion. And we acknowledge that not all people like all games, right? So sometimes you might be in a class that's using games and it might not be your kind of game. But if there's a diversity of games, at some point in this space, you're going to hit something you enjoy and find a new way to learn. We don't feel like learning should be onerous. It should be something you want to do. And so that's by and large what we started out trying to do was focus on how to get students more engaged, how to get some of us to step away from lecture because it's comfortable
Hmm.
and think about other engaging elements. While we were doing that, you mentioned the other majors. We had a number of our students who were going on to be future teachers. CMU is a big teaching school.
Hmm.
So they started asking us to train them in how to develop and design their own games for their own classroom space. And so our minor, which is in game design thinking, comes out of our students' desire to know how to take games with them. And so we train students in the minor to be able to take the elements of good game design, so iterative play, research, game mechanics, with them into whatever their career path of choice is. It would be great if they, landed with a game company, but
Hmm.
our most of ours go out and become high school teachers. They work in museums, they go to human resources. We have colleagues who've done stuff with us at Michigan DNR. Right? We've got these different spaces where games are being used, and we wanted our students to understand how to take games with them to
Hmm.
change the environment that they're going into.
I,
So that's part of that goal.
I know that I know a lot of elementary school teachers, and for some reason they think they say that their students love abduction,
Mhm.
that
Oh, yeah.
duck abducting game, and they all heard about it at some teaching conference. I mean, so the idea of using games in teaching, I mean, I love that idea. I wish that when I was in college, we could have done more of that, but it is a much more engaging way to learn.
Yeah.
So
It,
your students come out with so you have a minor in, I'm sorry, it was game design thinking.
yep.
Okay. But not like a major in
We have
game design.
We have a major right now in public and applied liberal arts that also uses game design. So students focus on the liberal arts and then applying the liberal arts to game design. But we also
Hmm.
have a game design major in the works that's focused mostly in the tabletop space, though also computer space, like some of the electronic space. But it will build out again into that game-based learning application space where students generally, so our minor is designed to pair really well. You mentioned chemistry. We've got
Hmm.
colleagues who use games in chemistry to teach chemistry, to think about water quality, to think about fisheries, to think about um, sort of things along that nature. And so our goal is that with the major in sort of game-based learning is that it's also going to go into this space where it's a double major. It'll be a smaller major to further facilitate another degree that they have so that they're
Hmm.
going out with something unique, but in a space where, I mean, you turn around and game-based learning is everywhere right now,
Yeah.
because, that's just sort of the world we're in at the moment. But if you do the history on it too, which I've another space that I'm in, the historical research, game-based learning has been with us, since Plato. It's been with us in the 16th century, the 17th century. It seems to constantly be here. It's just becoming a little bit more mainstream now.
Yeah. I've talked to some game designers who sort of, that's kind of their focus, history, learning, teaching history through games, teaching strategy even at like military colleges and things like that. So I think I think it's great to get gaming theory and gaming thinking out into the broader academia across all fields. So I
Mhm.
think it's very useful. Okay, so the center is kind of equally focused on um, creating actual games, but also getting that theory and advancing every other field.
Yeah.
Really, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sort of describe it as an umbrella that we both support faculty who are using game-based learning as well as future students who will be using game-based learning. So there's that portion of it, and then there's the portion that sort of does the press, right, where we
Mhm.
build the games and sell the games and try to
Yeah.
get those out there to support people because I mean it's really an outcome of what we were doing as more and more of us were building games. We're like, well, I really want to be able, I want more time in my life, and if I'm always building a game for something, then I don't have that time. But if other people are building games too, which we kept finding more and more people who are building games, there's just more solutions and more opportunity for me to grab somebody else's boxed game, slide that into my class. And if it's, there won't always be perfect fits, but you can do a
Mm.
quick mod
Sure.
to make life a whole lot easier. So we try to facilitate that. And then our curriculum guides, all of our games on the scholarship and lore series have curriculum guides, try to help people see ways of using it and help on board and how to sort of modify the game if they want to.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was looking through your the is it the CMich Press? Is
Yeah.
that I was looking through the website at some of the games, and there's the game, and then you scroll down, there's the curriculum guide. So it's just interesting that you guys are taking gaming very seriously. You're not just playing around. And I'm sorry that I said that. I can't help the bad pun. Uh, but so you teach a class called Mind Games.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that. That sounds very fun. Sounds like
So
your students love it.
yes, Mind Games is outstanding. We just got a little blurb on our local PBS station on it too. Um, we started this one in probably around 2012 as well. The course itself was initially designed to teach future history teachers how to design historical games for their classroom. It's gone on to become the capstone of our minor. So it's one of two capstones. There's an analog capstone, which is mind games, and then there's a video game capstone if students want to do video game design.
Oh, okay.
So in the course, we start out by playing a few different games just to make sure that we have a common vocabulary. We use Ethan Ham's tabletop game design for video game designers, so we use about three-quarters of the book, but it's got a whole bunch. It's got things in there. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the name of the game right now. It's got the little bugs that you move around. Hive, there we go. I've got
Oh,
there. It's got like Hive in there that you can cut out, and so the students can play it and they can do modifications on it. It's got conversations with Matt Leacock in there on pandemic and creating that and iterative design. So they have that as a general space, but then what the students do is after probably about 3 or 4 weeks of playing games and talking about game design and making sure that they've all got a common vocabulary, they then start getting pitches ready. They all have to pitch a game.
hmm.
We still keep this somewhat focused on our future educators in that it has to be historically themed because it's history class, and it has to be a non-Western topic. So it can't be a US or European history topic because
Oh, okay.
our future teachers need more focus on sort of the Asia, Latin America, Africa of the world for their test scores that they have to do
Hmm.
later on. And so it's a way to sort of give them another chance at a deep dive in that space. Plus, if you look at the board game industry, there's lots of games on US history topics and European history topics, and not so many on Asia, Africa, Latin America. So it gives us a chance to dive into those regions and give them new topics to look at. They pitched those games this last year for the first time. I brought in some game designers that are in the hobby space, and they pitched them to the game designers. The game designers then chose the ones that they thought should move forward. The students got to pick a couple that they thought should move forward. And ultimately, we had 5 games move forward, and the final third of the semester, maybe half, actually half of the semester, was them breaking into teams of five, or teams of 3 to 4 for 5 games, and they built out 5 games from the ground up that we then took through blind play testing and
Hmm.
to break our games events that we host and tried to get as much play testing in. And then they did a showcase at the end of the semester that the public got to come to and play their games. So.
So are some of those going to end up in stores and for sale, or?
Um, that's up to the students. Those games go with them. They don't necessarily come into our series. Our series, generally, by and large, has been educators from around the world. Students could submit it if they want, but what we've had happen mostly in the past is we get students who are interested, they graduate, they go get a job, and then nothing keeps coming from the game. And so that's the biggest challenge.
Mhm.
Uh, we are talking about doing a print and play version to be able to get our student stuff out there a little bit faster. Then they can have iterative feedback that continues beyond the classroom. And so we've been talking about that. We also have a couple of the students from this last go around working with us on some advertising pieces for the Blue Way
Mhm.
uh, because they did some really cool things with their games, and so we talked to them about continuing on to help us a little bit with the Blue Way. So, but they're independent now, so they're paid for their efforts because both graduated, so that, eases things for us. There's no here, do this for us for free. This
Yeah.
is, it's paid labor.
Yeah.
Um, but we're hoping to spin up a print and play version for the students, and have been having conversations about that. We've also been
Mhm.
talking about a way to do something that would allow them to get into sort of the crowdfunding space if they want to, or really, I mean,
Yeah.
they can get into it on their own anyway, but is there a way that we support them in that process? But most students
Mhm.
take the course their senior year, so there's just also that
Oh,
drop off.
yeah. So I'm looking at some of the games that was on your site, and some of these look visually incredible,
Thanks.
stunning. I'm like Witch Hunt 1649.
Yeah.
Um, that one, that one ranks an 8 on Board Game Geek.
Well,
I mean,
it
that's
out.
that's
I'm hoping it's going to rank keep going. It's it's a lot of fun. Martha McGill, who's was at the University of Warwick in England,
mhm,
developed an earlier prototype of that she had for a while. We asked her if she wanted to bring it over here for bigger distribution to make more changes.
mhm,
Bill
mhm,
Spitma did the art on it, and his art is just amazing. He did the internal art for us on our first game, Monumental Consequence, and he does, as you can see from the right, the box, these woodcut like prints
okay,
that are just perfect for it. So we talked to him again about doing that. Martha made a whole bunch of more characters, revised the two-player rules, revised even sort of in that one you often play in teams of two, and so
yeah,
she did tweaks so that the third player is now more balanced because a third player is sort of the person on their own in the community. But it's fun. It's all of our games we design both for a hobby space and a classroom space.
mhm,
They have to be educational, but we also hope that any game that we make, somebody's going to want to potentially play on their home table.
yeah,
Just because I hate playing terrible games. Right? So if I'm going to use it in my classroom, I need to be able to use it at home too.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I love the idea that that's the co-op and competitive. You know, you have
yeah,
multiple teams sort of competing against each other. Yeah, I like that mechanic. I can't think of very many other games, certainly none at the top of my head right now, that have that mechanic. So that's unique.
yeah. And it's fun. I mean, and it's as you go through it, right? You're just waiting to draw sort of fate cards. At some point, somebody's going to get tried for witchcraft. It's set collection. It's a really easy lift mechanically. And one of the things that I find fun, you don't have to do any role playing in it, but every time we
Hmm.
pull it out and we throw it in front of a group, people start playing their parts, right? And they're like, they'll get a fate, and it's something along the lines of, you did a, there's rumors that you've hexed somebody's cow, right? And it's all about trying to survive as a normal person during that time. You're not a lord, you're not actually a spellcaster.
Yeah,
And later on, when you get tried, you don't know why you're being accused, and so people will be like, look, I understand you thought I hexed your cows. I just poisoned them. It was just regular, real poison. And, can you forgive me? Here, I'll give you my last cow, right? I mean, so you have these
yeah,
conversations that aren't a part of the mechanics just
right.
because why not, right? It's just fun. And it's got all of the flavor text comes from historic documents from the 17th century as well. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, the 500-year-old vampire. I love the artwork on that. Gives me a actually it kind of gives me a GTA vibe a little bit with the mirrored sunglasses. Princess with a cursed sword. I kind
Mhm.
of like the sound of that.
Yeah, that one is Ananthropy. That one's going to be showing up in September. It's a solo journaling game that came out with five. It was five solo journal games, and this will have, or it was four solo journal games. This will have a fifth that hasn't been released, and it's got actual plays in it as well. And the art, yeah, I mean, we try to make sure that the art that we're getting and the artists we're working with are going to line up against any tabletop hobby game that you're going to find. And we've
Sure.
just been really fortunate that the people we get to work with are fantastic.
Yeah, let's talk about the games that are coming out. You have one that just hit um just funded, and one's just about to hit backer kit
Mhm.
as we speak today in June of 2026. Let's talk about those a little bit. I think that we have Keep the Faith. Is that the one that is already out?
Yeah, so Keep the Faith came out just a little while ago. It was crowdfunded. It finished crowdfunding, and 2 weeks later, all the tariff mess hit, the first round of tariff mess.
Ugh.
So it got here a little later. We then funded Witch Hunt and Making History after that, but so all of them ended up sort of showing up at about the same time. But Keep the Faith is one where hobbyists, I think, should be, well, Witch Hunt too, but Keep the Faith, any RPG hobbyist, anybody who likes board game mechanics with its storytelling. Greg Loring Albright did an awesome job with this game. You build a religion,
Mhm.
and then you watch it sort of pull and shift over 500 years. And then at the end, you see if you still have a religion, if you have a cult, or if you have something else. And
Oh,
it's
interesting.
process religions go through. You don't have to make it about a historic religion. I often talk about, I've taken one go round and had it about chickens carrying red umbrellas. A group of students just made the taco religion, where, as it started, quesadillas were a heresy, but later on were accepted into the religion. Right.
So okay, so I was kind of wondering if there is some way to have some tongue-in-cheek humor with religion, which isn't a topic sometimes. But okay, go on. It's a
Yeah. So, right, I mean, any role-playing game that you play, religion's there, right? And within human nature, religion is there, right? All societies, that I'm aware of have had religions, right? That doesn't mean that those religions continue to exist, but they were there, they progress forward. And so the idea behind this was to understand how religions form, the process that they go through. And so really for anybody who's a role-playing game fan, it acts sort of like the quiet year or the game dialect. What I tell, I mean, friends who are sort of in my city, who are looking at playing games, I'm like, use this to build the religion for your game. And then you have a religion you all have established in 2 hours that you dump into your next RPG campaign, and you have a fully established religion. So it's fun there, but it's also just a fun storytelling game. You can take it as seriously as you want it, or you
mhm.
can take it as wacky as you want it. It's religion agnostic.
Okay. Actually, I read the review. There's a pretty in-depth review on Board Game Geek. I think it's on your website or a link to it. That seemed to, I guess, take a more serious look. But it's I mean I can get behind the taco religion. I mean,
Yeah, and that's, I mean, right, all of our games, people see them and they see the title Central Michigan University Press, and they understand that it comes from an academic background, right? So they can all be taken seriously.
mm.
But they're all also um, like you can take them for fun, right? I mean,
But because it's also coming from 19-year-olds, sort of.
well, these games aren't coming from 19-year-olds. The 19-year-olds are playing them, but these games are,
Oh,
Greg Loring Albright was also the designer of Ahoy with Leader Games,
but
right?
I mean, they're the ones that came up with the different, like the taco religion, for instance.
Oh,
That was
yes. So the
from a
taco
student.
religion was
Yeah,
19, yeah, was 18 and 19-year-olds.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a yeah, good good opportunity for creative people to do creative things with that game.
Yeah, well, and that's 500-year-old vampire is similar. It's a journaling game, right? So it's off of so you have 1,000-year-old vampire, Tim Hutchings, solo journaling game. He supported this. Jason Cox took it, modified it for classrooms, and it's for high school and or college. You can pull out the serious cards if you don't want it at the high school level, and it's
Mm,
like a number again. So right, I've got a kid who's in I've got two kids in high school, and they and their friends have played 500-year-old vampire, and they love it, right? Because it's a way it slows down the the response time that many players have in a role-playing game because you have a prompt and you write to that prompt and you write a letter. And
mm,
so it allows people who are normally like four steps behind to stay caught up and share information. And you can take it as seriously as you want, about being a vampire, holding on to their humanity, not trying to lose your memories over 500 years,
mm,
or you can play it as goofy as you want, right? So
mm.
it's a good time.
Let's talk about the Blue Way. So the Blue Way is that's the hot new one coming out.
The Blue Way is Jason Morningstar's game. He did this as a side project a while ago. I found out about it because Alan White, who is designer of a mod of this game, shared his mod with us, and that mod will be coming with the curriculum guide. Reached out to Jason, was talking to him about the Blue Way. The Blue Way is very serious. It is about it's about colonialism. You are an indigenous, a fictional indigenous people who
Mm,
has to figure out how to respond to the incoming colonial power and the decisions that they're making as you wrestle with holding on to your background. So Jason had been doing reading about Latin America, Europe, and sort of the European incursions there, but also Great Britain's incursion into Ireland, and so it's a fictitious world. So you're playing Stethani people as the Dusians invade. And the core of the game is what Jason had as a downloadable PDF before. We've tweaked a couple of the cards, but by and large, that's the same. Then Samaraya's art got added to it, which is just gorgeous and amazing and eerie in all the right ways. Um, and what we've done from there then is, again, in my space, this is me entering my space of sort of both game design and curriculum stuff.
mm,
Um, I am working with Ray Kimball, who's helped us with some other curriculum guides. But in our curriculum guide this time, we're actually making, um, I don't want to say expansion packs because that assumes that what Jason has wasn't full and complete. What Jason has is full and complete. But it's doing mods and allowing you to step into that space of what colonialism was and is, in different ways to understand it, right? So, oftentimes with colonialism, there's this very heavy understanding of the imposition of the colonial power. And I don't want people to think that I don't think that was there. It absolutely was there.
mm,
Uh, but in my research, I look at human dynamics and human interchange and interaction in colonial Mexico, specifically between Spaniards and Nahuas, who are the Aztec people. And what we miss when we just focus on the power of the institution of the government and the church is we lose those day-to-day human conversations, right? And so what I like to point out is by 1571, they had translated chess into Nahuatl. By 1555, Pistoli was translated into Spanish. By 1591, chess was translated into Zapotec, right? And
mm,
you don't, they don't have enough translators to teach chess to everybody, but you don't force somebody to play chess effectively at the point of a sword. Right? This is
yeah.
people engaging in having conversation. So when you get down there, there's these conversations on a one-to-one basis where friendships and curiosity form, right? The violence of colonialism is still there. And so
Mm,
what I'm doing is I'm making an alternate deck that will get half of it will can get shuffled into Jason's core deck so that as you play, you've got these other sort of things going on that you're also responding to that are sort of, for lack of a better term, soft colonialism, but is really just those human moments of connection, right? And how do
Yes.
you respond
Yes.
to those so you can see the culture in the moment start forming? I'm also looking at building out some others that deal with the indigenous people who fought with the Spaniards, to try and have people help people understand why they would choose to fight with the Spaniards, because we shouldn't strip them of their agency either,
Okay.
right? So
How did you get connected with Jason and this
Uh,
project?
So, Alan, who has a modification that takes it into engineering called the New Way. It's hysterical and lovely.
Hmm.
Had been in touch with Jason when he started modding the Blue Way initially. And so I reached out to Jason because we were looking at the New Way, just sent him an email, said, "Hey, we're looking at the New Way. I saw the Blue Way," and that sort of kicked off some conversations from there. He was very excited to talk to us. Jason himself is an educator, in background, and if you play with many of his games, you start seeing that come through as well.
So
So
this will be a game that you'll be able to. It'll have the curriculum guide, and people will be able to use it for
yeah,
their academic purposes. And
correct. It went up for peer review to multiple. So all of our games in the scholarship and lore series go up for double blind peer review, which means that they go out to make sure that the scholarship is accurate, but also we send it out to game designers to make sure that the gameplay is engaging as well. Because we have enough terrible educational games out there. We don't need more.
yes, there's actually a board game company called Terrible Games, a board game publisher called Terrible Games, and their games are actually very fun.
Yeah, I need to try theirs.
Yes. Um, I want to be respectful of your time, but I kind of wanted to go into touch on, I guess, the use of AI in board game design, and I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that, sort of with your perspective.
I'm not going to say there isn't use for AI out there, but I don't use AI at all as much as I can. I mean, occasionally I'll accidentally use it when I'm doing a Google search and I forget to do dash AI. But we have a policy of no AI in our board game company. In part, we want to save jobs. Yeah, I mean, our statement on AI is fully, if AI is used in this space, is it taking somebody's job? If the answer to that is yes, then we don't want it there. And so we're not going to use it there. I don't use it in my classrooms. There are other faculty who do, but I teach writing, critical thinking, and research.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And as I tell my students, I'm like, you're paying me to teach you these things so that when you go out into a job, you have these skills. If you're using AI in this space, then you're not getting any benefit out of that. So
Yeah,
um,
those skills are going to be drying up.
yeah, and that's terrifying. So for us, we haven't found a space, and we aren't actively looking, right? Let's be very clear about that too. But we haven't found a space where we're willing to engage with AI in the space. We did have one game submitted at one point that was doing some interesting things with it, but we just weren't. I mean, it was, and to say interesting things with it, it was thinking about how to teach AI to students in responsible ways, right? It was doing things that I think are reasonable. It just wasn't a good fit for us. And again, with AI, we're still sitting on the fence, and we looked at it and we did not feel comfortable with the game, so we said no.
Yeah,
Um,
I hate to see anyone using AI for design and art,
yeah,
and for game design. I mean, machine learning for play testing, um, checking rule books for typos. That's one thing, but
we we still won't use it for that. On our
okay.
typos, we use our copy editor. We have a copy editor we've contracted with. We understand that, I've published 3 books. I have a fourth one coming. I've got typos in all of them. But I've worked with really amazing professional copy editors. I realize typos are still going to go out there, but it's another spot where I don't want it to hit. I don't want it to hit our colleague that we're paying to do copy editing, who's gotten that training. And also, if I use it for copy editing, then that material is sitting in with the AI um, for it to use.
Yeah, I guess when I say AI for proofreading, I'm talking
Yeah.
about the little blue underline that
Yeah. I mean,
Microsoft
correct.
Microsoft Word puts on your page.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the extent.
We've had a couple of people use ChatGPT to cleanse their stuff. And early on, we didn't have a statement of don't do that. So, if you go through some of our games, there will be a statement in at least in one of them that I can think of where ChatGPT was used to sort of cleanse the document. We still sent it
Mhm.
to our copy editor because, again, I'm not going to take a job from our copy editor. But by and large, like our statement is don't use ChatGPT, don't use Claude for
Yeah,
uh,
I'm in the I work in digital media for my uh, day job, and whew, it's like holding an ocean back with a broom
yeah,
sometimes. With you know, yeah. So it's good to know that at least in academia there are pockets that are pushing back and kind of sticking to our humanity a little bit as far as critical thinking.
yeah, we're a small corner of it, but yeah, that's we're pretty anti-use of AI. I mean, and that's not to take into consideration all of the like climate issues that go with the data warehouses and centers and stuff like that. So yeah, we're
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, for sure. Um, I'm going to talk a little bit about outreach as we kind of wrap up here. I see you guys all the time at Gen Con, and
yeah.
I meant to bring it out, but I always have your little dice that you guys give out. I love collecting those. Um, how how long have you been doing that? What do you get out of that?
So
Out of like Gen Con?
we started 2018, I want to say.
Okay.
Was our first trek down there. We weren't prepared for the outpouring of support. We had a team of four that was supposed to go. I was supposed to go. Our associate director, Andrew, was supposed to go. I ended up ridiculously sick. Andrew had something come up. And so our colleagues, Wendy and Daria, went and we had to reach out to a friend who happened to be there to spell them for the bathroom and for
Right.
food because of the outpouring of support at being there. And that was our first time there. Really, we want universities need to recruit. And so the theory on it was let's let students and future students and people who are, who know people who are going to be going to school let them know about the cool things we do.
Mhm.
Um, if you have a teenager, it's often hard to get them to go to a college fair. It's often hard to get them to go do stuff. But hey, look, we're at Gen Con. They're giving away dice. If you have a small conversation with us, maybe we can convince you to, just think about us and we'll, sort of be at the back of your mind as you start thinking about schools down the road. So it started out as an idea of like, how do we recruit? That was
Mhm.
before we had games there. This year we won't have the table on Community Row, which is where we've always been. We'll still be at Trade Day Marketplace, but we'll have this will be our second year with a booth on the main floor selling our games.
Oh,
Um, so
sec
that's we were
you had
there
one
last
last
year.
year?
Yep. We were there last year on we were on Entrepreneurs Avenue
Yeah.
last year. And so yeah, this year we're just over one. I don't have the number in front of me. I want to say it's 2358, but I could be wrong on that.
But get that to me. I'll put it in the description
Yeah.
because I
Um
was on Entrepreneur Avenue last year.
yeah.
I did not see you guys there. I mean, I was there walking around, but I don't remember
People
seeing you guys there.
were distracted by dogs with jobs because their booth was amazing. And our booth it was a good booth, but dogs with jobs had this great kitchen appeal where it looked like you were sitting at the kitchen counter. And so we
Okay.
were between dogs with jobs and flocked together. But yeah, so we were there. We'll be there again this year, and we'll be at Trade Day. So those are our two primary spots that will be. And then we're running. Well, we have a number of colleagues and friends who are running games for us. Some of us will run some of them at points, but we're going to have Princess with a Cursed Sword is going to get run, Cursed Sword,
Mhm.
uh, Mountain Witch, Keep the Faith, Dog Eat Dog, Monumental Consequence. Um, not sure. I'm Making History, trying to remember what else. But yeah, we have a bigger
Okay.
lineup this games that of our games that are getting run.
Is it just me, or does it seem like there are more pre-college aged um, attendees at Gen Con?
I think more and more people are taking their kids with them.
And it seems like, I mean, not like little kids. I'm talking, it seems like in the last few years, I've noticed a marked increase in the number of like high school aged
Yeah.
kids at Gen Con, which I mean, it's great for you. I think it's great for the hobby. I mean, I
Oh,
just
yeah.
don't know if it's just, maybe I'm confirmation bias or something because I have a student.
Uh-huh. No, I mean, I think our numbers, so we would track the numbers at Community Row with clickers to just see how many points of contact we had with both people, but also especially students. And that number's grown over the years as people have become aware. But we had a number of times where parents would do exactly what we wanted. They had their teenage, their junior or sophomore kid, and they're like, "Hey, you should stop and talk to them." We're like, "Absolutely." And because you do here, have some dice. Let's have a
Yeah,
conversation about what we do.
yeah.
And if you're interested, sign up here or not. But it takes all of 5 minutes of their time, and they have more questions. It's great, but that's part of it, and it always surprises them. We've managed to recruit and get some students to follow up from there too, which has been fun.
So do you think that being on the vendor floor, do you think that, because it seems like when you were out on Community Row, people maybe have more of an expectation of, well, I'm probably not going to buy a game for this vendor, but I'm going to get information about what they do. Do you think that you have to try harder to say, hey, we're part of a school and we have all this curriculum stuff and all learning? Do you have to try harder because everyone's looking just to buy games at all those
Well,
booths?
so our shift comes with sort of budgetary restrictions that we're facing ourselves, right? So we our budget is based on the games we sell. So the more games we sell, the more we have come in. And so that's really our shift to the floor is while it in and of itself is a little bit more expensive, it allows us to make back the money that we're doing. I would prefer to be selling games on Community Row, but Gen Con policy doesn't allow us to sell games on Community Row.
Okay.
And so we do a lot with Trade Day. We have a lot of conversations with future teachers there. And then we have people who stop and have conversations with us at our booth. It's chaos in there, as you're well aware, and anybody who's been to Gen Con
Yeah.
is. So it's not, the conversations aren't as good as the ones on Community Row with those students. But ultimately, in order to be there, we have to be able to pay for those fees and expenses. And so as we've brought the press in and developed the press, um, sort of our success and ability to be there is dependent on us being able to make the money to be there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to come and find you guys down there on the floor. Um,
Yeah, happy to grab coffee too. I
uh,
mean, with
I,
you and anybody else. So
I come down with there's two other guys from our channel, two main guys that are on the channel, three of us. So we always come down and if I don't think of it the first day, my buddy's always like, "Hey, Jason, you gonna go get your free dice from CMU?" I'm
yep.
like, "Oh yeah, yeah."
Yeah.
Um,
So
well, speaking of connecting with you guys, what is the best way for someone to connect with your center?
with the center, there's the CLGS at cmich.edu email, or the CMich Press at at cmich.edu. Either of those will get to us, and will get to me. I'm publicly available, so you can pull mine off of the website on Central Michigan University as well. If you want to make sure one of us sees it, using one of the other two will filter in and we'll have eyeballs on it faster. Mine, because you have to compete with my students and everything else, and I have to rank my students higher than most everybody who comes in there. It just really depends the time of year you're emailing me. If you're emailing me at the end of April or the end or the early December when finals are going on, you can imagine what my email inbox looks like as my students are panicked about their grades. But yeah, you can
Yeah.
reach me there, or any of those other email addresses. We're also online at Facebook. We're at Blue Way, or not Blue Way, sorry, Blue Sky. Say the Blue Way and the Blue Sky. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And you can find us on any of those spots as well.
So if you're a game player, if you're an aspiring game designer, if you're a teacher, you need to get connected with CMU's Center for Learning Through Games and Simulation. And Jonathan, thanks so much for talking to me. We will see you at GenCon.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.